So I'm at a Chevy storage lot right now because GM has 877 vehicles that are under investigation right now. Now, the reason why these vehicles are under investigation is because their motors can actually implode on themselves, or they can have a rod that breaches the side of the engine wall.
Well, the Department of Transportation is launching a preliminary investigation into certain models of General Motors vehicles following reports of alleged engine failure.
And breach means go through. So they can have a rod that launches through the side of the engine block. Now, NHTSA is who is doing this probe right now, and the reason why they're involved is because they're concerned that it is a major safety hazard. And really the big thing that they want to make sure that's taken care of is that, okay, these motors, when they implode on themselves, when they can seize on themselves, then that can create a scenario where the truck has to stop. Engine doesn't go, car doesn't go, right? So if this happens, then if a consumer is on the interstate, on the highway going 55 plus miles an hour, their truck all of a sudden just stops, well, it's a big time safety hazard. They can get into a wreck, so this has got to be fixed. 877 vehicles involved, all of the ones that have the 6.2 liter motor. Now this motor is considered to be the better of the V8s that GM releases. And I usually don't cover a lot of GM. Usually when you're seeing my videos, you're seeing me talk about Jeep, Dodge, Ram, Ford, because those are the dealers that are being overrun with inventory. They're the ones that have constant recalls, and it seems like of the big three, GM is typically the one that's, okay, it seems like the parent in the room, right? They seem like they have their production under control. Even this lot I'm on right now, I know you see a ton of trucks, but if I go to their dealership that's not too far from here, they're not overflowing with trucks. They have a very small footprint for this Chevy dealership at their actual place, so they keep a lot of their inventory here. So I know it looks like a ton of inventory, but this is actually not even as much as I've seen over the last year when I've checked this dealership. So really, there's not been a lot of negative news that's come out of GM over the last, say, year and a half, even going towards like the EVs. You see a lot of these Silverados right here. GM was one of the first to really back off of that when Ford was really pushing to produce as many EVs as possible, and we know how that turned out for them. But really, I wanted to talk about this because this is going to affect GM, the brand, in a major way. Because I mean, what are they known for? They're known for making good V8s. Now we have the 5.3s too, that we're hearing reports that they're also having a lot of lifter troubles, and this could be something that really tarnishes the GM brand. But really, where are you going to go? So we can throw them in the basket now of Ford. We got Ram, who Ford and Ram, they've been fighting each other to get the top spot of the amount of recalls that are happening in the truck space. And then you have a brand like Toyota, who has recently gone through something like this. And what happened to Toyota? Well, you saw Tundras start to stack up at a lot of these dealerships, and it's something that can happen if you have a lot of news coverage that goes along with these motors. And if consumers just happen to think that all these motors are bad, it doesn't matter if it's actual reality.
Toyota is recalling more than 100,000 SUVs and pickup trucks. There's a potential for debris from the manufacturing process contaminating the engine.
Because the probe that NHTSA is launching right now is from 2019 to 2024 trucks, SUVs that have the 6.2 motor. The models that are affected are going to be your Sierra, your Silverado at Chevy, you're going to have Escalade through Cadillac, you're going to have Suburban, Tahoe, Yukon. I might be missing one, but I think that's everything that's covered with this probe. But if you have consumers that see this news and they think that, okay, my truck can just implode on itself with no warning. That's another big thing about this, is that the truck will not make a noise or anything. It can just happen. And maybe it goes along with the active fuel management, and a lot of these rod bearings just get burned up, and then they just launch themselves through the side of the block. But there's, in a lot of these cases, there can be no warning. And so these truck owners can not hear any knocking, not hear any kind of weird noise. And all of a sudden, their truck just blows up and the engine just actually craters. And if you're out of warranty, a lot of these motors, I've seen quotes, it's like $20,000, $21,000. So if you have a consumer that has one of these trucks and they know this, they know it's going to cost them this much out of warranty, or even they know that they're going to have the hassle of having to deal with Chevy, GM when something like this happens, well, this can cause a consumer not to buy a truck. And a consumer that does go through this problem, they're probably not buying another Chevy or GM. And this is roll back to Toyota, where you have the perception of, okay, these motors are bad. You see a lot of coverage from a lot of people like me, a lot of even news outlets getting a hold of these numbers of how many trucks are being recalled, how many engines are being replaced. When you see all this, it just creates a big shadow around the actual brand. When you're looking at these consumers are looking, well, do I buy a Toyota? Do I buy a Ford? Do I buy a Ram? Do I buy a Chevy? And now it seems like all of them have some kind of issue. So where are you going to go if you want a reliable truck, a reliable SUV that has one of these big V8s? Or in Toyota's case, their big truck and their big SUV has a 6-cylinder turbo. Well, there's not really anywhere to turn when you start looking up reliability. Ford has some of the most recalls. Actually, I think now they have the most recalls. Ram is right there with Ford. Okay, there's quality, throw that out the window. Well, let's go look at a Tundra. Well, we have all these news stories of these 6-cylinder turbos not being what they should be, and those motors have shown that they could implode on themselves. And Toyota has replaced a lot of them. Well, let's throw that out. And now we have GM, which was supposed to be, okay, the most reliable V8, and the big one is the 6.2, and now we have this probe that's going on where, okay, they have to go in and they're going to have to fix 877,000, maybe, but they're under investigation now. And as we've seen from Toyota, we're probably going to have some kind of recall, some kind of fix. And then, I mean, what's left for you to buy? It's really not much.
I want to thank REDTIGER for sponsoring this video. Today we're looking at the REDTIGER F77 dash cam. This isn't your average dash cam. This is the world's first dual 4K dash cam, capturing stunning 4K footage at 30 frames per second from both your front camera and your rear camera. With Starvis 2 night vision and HDR, it delivers crystal clear video even in low light conditions. Installation is quick and easy, and the built-in 128 gigabytes internal storage gives you up to 5 hours of loop recording, no memory card needed. You'll also get 12 voice commands, a 4-inch touchscreen, and 5.8 gigahertz Wi-Fi for super fast video transfers. Plus, it has GPS, 24-hour parking monitoring, and a G sensor to keep your car protected. If you're looking for premium clarity and protection, check out the REDTIGER F77 dashcam. Links are in the description below. Stay safe, and I want to thank REDTIGER for sponsoring this video.
We're at the Chevy lot, and while we're here, we might as well check out some vehicles they have. They have the 6.6 down there, I think. We'll go check that in a second, but I wanted to look at this, but look how ugly this thing is. And there, I mean, I will say one thing about Chevy, GM, is that, okay, we see some EVs there. I see more EVs right there, more EVs there, and then I think they got some of the EV Blazers over there. They did not push these EVs as hard as Ford did, and I think they did actually a good job. And a lot of this, I mean, I'm complaining about these motors in these trucks. Yeah, it's going to be a big problem. But I think in a lot of other aspects, I think GM has actually done a really good job, just because you go to their dealerships and it looks completely different than what I see at Ford. It looks completely different than what I see at a Ram dealership, because those dealerships are overrun with trucks. They're overrun with vehicles that are way too expensive and they can't sell them. And it does not seem to be the case at GM. So either they're selling through a lot of their product, better than Ford and Ram is, or GM is just limiting the amount of product that they're getting to these dealers. Either way, I'm not seeing the overrun. So this is 2024 Silverado EV RST. Oh my goodness, Price on this thing's $99,000. What's the add-ons here? Yeah, so we got add-ons of $2,100, but still, I mean, $97,000 for this Silverado EV. Oh my goodness. So here's the thing. We already know that Ford has had a massive problem with their F-150 Lightnings, and we also we've recently got reports out of Tesla that their Cybertruck, they're having to lower the price because people are just not picking up their shipments of these trucks. They're getting orders, and they're there at Tesla, and people are forfeiting a lot of their deposits and just not picking them up. So that's forcing Tesla to lower the price on the Cybertruck so they can actually get some moved. All right, here's the 6.6 liter. This is Z71 right here, 3,500. This is a big boy. Very curious to see what price on this thing is. It looks good. I like the look of GM and Chevy trucks. 2025 Silverado, 3,500 with the 4-wheel drive. Price on it, I don't know if you can see that, $58,000. So this is a get-to-work truck. And you can look, see on the inside. I wonder if it's open. Oh, it's open. Yeah, we can see it. All right. This one's been test drove. Yeah, I don't know if I'm supposed to get in this truck here or not. But anyway, we're going to look at it. Actually, they're fixing something on it. But $58,000, bare bones. This is the kind of thing that a lot of people have actually been wanting. Let's get that in a 1,500 and get it out to some people at like 50 grand. Yeah, let's do more of that. All right, I'm very curious now. So this is a 2,500. Let's check this one out. HD, I wonder if these are fleet vehicles. So if you look at over there, all this on this side over here, those are all destined for fleet. The reason I know that is because they're all white, they're all gray, they're all black, bare bones, nothing. We'll go and check some of that over there. But let's. I almost wonder, I can see if it's a fleet, if it's got a special order. I don't see special orders, so this is actually retail, and this one's $55,000. Now keep in mind, let's see what motor's on this. Oh, there we go. And this one's got the 6.6 also. So keep in mind this probe that's been released, it's only on the 6.2 motors. And that's from 2019 to 2024. But we also know that the 5.3s have also had some lifter trouble, and we've seen a lot of reports of it. So it might be something that after they cover the 6.2s, it might be something that they'll have to look into the 5.3s as well. This is a 2500 HD. There we go. Crew cab, custom 4-wheel drive, $62,000. But yeah, let's run over here and look at some of these fleet vehicles. Not a lot. Actually, let's just look at this one right here, because this is a Blazer. This should be it's an Equinox. This should be one of the cheaper ones. 2025 Equinox LT front wheel drive. This should be about the cheapest thing that we can find here. Yep, $31,000, and that's interesting because this is a little bit bigger than what I would see like at a Ford lot, with like a. Oh, what's a Ford, like at Ford Edge or Ford Escape. Ford Escape is the one. That's the cheapest thing that I can find at a Ford dealership is a Ford Escape. And that's an Equinox, and that's $31,000. And a Ford Escape is right around that same price. So you look at Ford versus GM in the same aspect when they have a very similar vehicle, but that one's a little bit bigger. Consumers are probably leaning towards a Equinox over a Ford Escape. Too, I've been in the Ford Escapes, and they feel so cheap, so cheap, so cheap. I want to look at some of these. These things look great too. This is a 2025. It's a 2500. It's probably also a 2025. Yeah, 2500 crew cab, custom 4-wheel drive, $72,000. MSRP on those 68 grand. One thing that like these motor issues can cause is they can hurt really the resale value and how much they're actually worth in the future. So I know there's lots of particular models of trucks, SUVs, cars, or whatever that used car dealers don't want to buy. I can give you an example. I mean, I'm a used car dealer. I sell stuff that's $5,000 and under, but even I won't buy a Nissan that's got a CVT transmission in it, because I just know that those transmissions are absolute garbage. So what does that do for the resale value? Well, it absolutely tanks it. So something similar to like a motor, these 6.2 motors, if they have this continuous like cloud over them where they're just labeled as not good motors, well, that hurts any kind of trade-in value in the future. And you say the same thing with the Toyota Tundras with the 6-cylinder turbos. A lot of these Ford trucks now, they're having issues where they're going to 6-cylinder turbos. Now you have Rams, even though they've kind of walked it back a little bit, that they have a lot of these 6-cylinder turbos too. They're having that we're seeing some issues with, or at least they're getting labeled with, okay, I don't want that motor from the consumer, right? It's going to really hurt the trade-in values if a consumer buys one of these things brand new and then 3 to 6 years later they want to trade it in, and then the amount of equity or the amount of value that they think that they might have, well, they have just a small percentage of that, because on the wholesale market from used car dealers, we just don't want to pay the kind of money that the consumer might want to get out of that vehicle. So that means that their trade-in is going to be worth not even close to what they want out of it. And that what does that do for the next purchase? Well, it tells them that, well, if I can lose that much money on a vehicle in that short amount of time, well, that's probably not a brand I want to buy into the next go around. And I do want to come over here. So we have some Tahoes right there, Tahoes right there. These look nice. I really like those. And I want to check some of these EVs too, but we'll check this Tahoe first. This looks nice. Let's see which one. White, blue. This is going to be definitely a retail one. 2025 Tahoe 4-wheel drive Premier, and oh my goodness, price on this is $80,000, 82 grand. One thing I want to point out about these Tahoes, look in there, that's super nice. I do really like, it's not open, I do really like these Tahoes, and I feel like when you go to something that's similar in Jeep, or you go to something that's similar in a Ford, well, the Tahoe, and this is one of the top trims, correct me if I'm wrong down in the comments, but if you're looking at like a Jeep Wagoneer, that's the comp, right, in Jeep, it's $100,000, $110,000, $115,000. When you look at the comp in the Ford, it's a Ford Expedition, right at $95,000, and you have this Tahoe that's $82,000. So I talked earlier about, okay, well, it seems like GM's winning in a lot of these situations where Ford and Stellantis is not, and you see that GM's dealers, from what I can see at least, are not being overrun. You can see that their day supply of inventory, it's not even close to what Ford and Stellantis have been dealing with, and it might just be that they're just a little bit cheaper. And $82,000 is not cheap, so don't take that as me saying it's a cheap vehicle. It's absolutely not. Very expensive. $82,000 for SUV. But in a lot of cases, it's $15,000, $20,000 than what the competitors are doing. So if you're a consumer out there, if I'm looking for a third row SUV, I'm not going to Ford. I'm not going to Jeep and buying Grand Wagoneer for $110,000, $115,000. I'm going to buy something that's in some cases $30,000 cheaper. Here's a Suburban. Let's check this. This is going to be a lot bit bigger than the Tahoe. You got a lot of extended butt back there. Let's see here. 2024. This is 24 though. So this might be one of the ones affected. No, it's a 5.3. So the ones that are affected is 6.2, but 5.3 also reports of some problems, and $89,000. So just think about spending $89,000 for a vehicle, and now you get reports that, okay, the engine might just fall out of it, or there might be a shotgun size hole that gets rocketed through the side of the engine block. You just paid $90,000 for it. Here's another one. This one has a 6.2, and this is a 2024. So this is one of the ones that are affected. $93,000. $93,000, and the rod can just breach the side of the engine block and create a massive hole on a $93,000 vehicle. Yep. All right, so there's the one that's affected right there. That's the Suburban Premier, $93,000. and it might have a bad motor. But I want to check this too while we're here. We got all these EVs. This is a 2025 Blazer EV RS all-wheel drive. Price, I can't see it over there. You can see it. I can see this price before the add-ons, and that's $61,000, I believe. Let me check this one because I might be wrong. I thought I could see it, but it's hard to see. Here we go. Here's one. 2025 Blazer EV RS all-wheel drive. $61,000 after add-ons, $64,000. And what I'm interested in seeing, we have new administration in now, right? Going to roll back probably a lot of these tax credits, a lot of the benefits that manufacturers get for selling EVs, a lot of the benefits that consumers get for buying EVs. A lot of that's going to get rolled back. We've already had reports that a lot of these manufacturers are going to pull back on the amount of money they're putting into production, the amount of vehicles that they're actually going to produce. We have Ford cut production on Lightning. We have Stellantis that said, okay, well, we're going to hold off on making our EV or putting out our EV Ram. And even before all of this administration change was happening, you were having reports from GM saying, okay, well, the EV space is not what we thought it was. We're going to focus more on putting production towards things that are actually making us money. I think they said that about 2 or 3 quarters ago. So GM was ahead of the game. But I am very curious to see as the administration starts to roll back some of these benefits for producing, for buying these EVs, what these manufacturers are going to do. In my opinion, what's probably going to happen is that a lot of these manufacturers are going to cut it down to almost nothing because they're hemorrhaging money in the EV space. And yeah, I mean, there's people that love EVs out there, right? I mean, there's tons of people that want EVs, right? But if the manufacturers can't make money on making them, and there's not a large enough audience so they can produce the kind of volume that could make them money, and on these trucks, they're still making a ton of money, lots of margin. They're probably going to lean into where the margin is. They're probably going to lean into where the majority of the volume is. They're probably going to do the things that make them the most money. And I do not blame them.